Okay.
Kick it. Da, 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 da,
We
da.
are live.
Bum, 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 bum,
Hey, everybody.
bum.
Welcome to another edition of Operation Grow. We're 2 weeks and a bit into the flowering cycle now. So, welcome, everybody. Hope everybody's had a good week. Well, a couple of weeks, actually. And, yeah, let's see how everybody's doing. Tanasi, sir, how are things going with you?
Things are great, man. Life's good out here. I've been redoing my backyard, making a rock garden, trying to get rid of some mud. Life's good, man. Do some dabs, smoke some weed, see some girls.
Very nice, very nice. So you doing some back-breaking work in the backyard then?
Oh yeah, I've been moving rock around crazy like.
Nice, nice, nice. And Stony, sir, how you doing?
I'm hanging in there. I got a long day in the garden ahead of me when the lights turn on in 3 or 4 more hours. So
Well,
I need to get some update photos done, but I've got I put all my Jamaican Bobsled in what I call my transition space. It's a 4x4 where I'll pack them in a little tighter and just kind of let them start to get into the stretch. And then I've cleared out one of my main 3x6s, and I've got some nice utility panels, the metal ones, that I'm going to be hanging in there so that I can scrog them in nice and tight. So other than that, though, I mean, that's what I've got kind of going on. I'll kick it over to the next guy.
Eric,
How's it
how you
going?
doing, sir?
Pretty good.
Excellent, excellent. And how's life treating you in that neck of the woods?
Doing good. The bobsleds are looking good. Just like Stoney, I gotta wait for my lights to turn on, and then I got a bunch of work to do in there myself. But yeah, they're getting huge, overgrown.
Nice.
We need to do some more thinning out and stuff, but they're looking great. All 6 of them, so
Cool, cool.
no insects, traits, or anything. Everything looks good.
Nice. And Dr. Wigglers, how you doing, sir? How's life on the farm?
Well, I'm doing pretty good. I actually put another vegetable garden in at my house this week, so I just stuck some vegetables and flowers in the ground. My other garden is just getting tore up by deer and animals, and I just can't keep them out of it this year, it seems like, no matter what I do. So I put some extra ones in. I got backups, that's what I'm calling them.
What do you got going in the gardens out there?
I do a lot of tomatoes because I can tomatoes. Basically, anything I grow, I'm trying to make it so I don't have to buy it this year. Anything that I can, produce and not have to purchase, that's what I'm buying. So, tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, eggplants, um, onions, garlic. Um, I do pumpkins for the kiddos, and I do pumpkins for the worms. I make one pumpkin pie a year, so growing pumpkin for that is kind of crazy.
Yeah. Actually doing some proper farming, not just other farming.
Well, yeah, I mean, we
Operation Grow, grow the planet, yeah.
exactly. I mean, if we can grow it and we can produce it for ourselves, that's what I'm all about. Self-sustainability. If I can, even with my cannabis, if I can make the nutrient rather than buying it, that's what I do. That's why I make FPJ and that kind of stuff. But we're doing good over here. Just hanging out, doing the damn thing.
Fantastic. So, we're 2 weeks into flower. What is everybody seeing? How are things going? Is it still, I saw some comments being made on some social media there about quite a bit of stretching still for some people, others slowed down. I mean, Mystics is looking pretty impressive in there. Stoney, I'm sure yours. And everybody else is looking just as impressive, but those I must say from the photos she was pushing out were like, wow.
Do you remember how we fixed this last time? The screen is stuck on me.
on you.
What did we do to fix that?
I cannot remember. I think it was on your side if you clicked on somebody else.
I think what
In
you did was
your-
presented your screen.
No, here's a present now.
I
Entire
think that's
screen.
what you did. You presented your screen, so it showed us all pop up on your screen. And you had you off to the side last year.
yes.
Yeah, that's what it was, perhaps.
Yeah, you need to present the Google Meeting screen.
That's right.
But as far as Bud and Stretch goes, I took my numbers. I did take them a day late on the 14th day, so I took them on Tuesday. That's day 14 for me, I guess. So what I'm seeing is, they almost 1.5 or one, the height that they were, they're 1.5 times that size. So half times the stretch. You know what I mean? I guess that makes sense. If they were to put all the stretch 6 inches on the 14th day, I took them on.
My bad.
That'd be a 50% stretch.
Okay, 50% stretch, 0.5%, yeah. But yes, but the buds, they're shaping up nicely. I will say I did think Mr. Pictures and video were pretty impressive myself. Holy crap, she's got like some 4-footers over there, full on, 4x4 space, one slam full with the bobsleds.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's looking really, really good.
But I did end up with a count of 3 females, so I got officially 3 females out of 10 seeds. Now, I don't think they ever had the right chance in the beginning. I don't know. I didn't get 10 to pop. I had like 8 to pop, and then I was down to 7 very shortly after that. Now I got 3. So I got 3 beautiful females.
Nice. And Stoney, yours? How are they coming along?
Yeah, mine are coming along pretty good. I'm just gonna have to estimate for people what I think the stretch is like, because I had already super cropped them so many times that trying to figure out what their true height is, and then I've actually had to super crop them since throwing them into flower because they're growing so tall. I want to say my stretch is more like 80%. So I think I started out with 3-foot plants, and I think if I stretched them all the way out from all of the bending and twisting I've been doing, I think they'd be every bit of almost 6 foot. So, and I know I've been bad. I apologize to everybody. I have not gotten my Instagram posts up, but I've got some business stuff in the works that I've been having to attend to, and that's been taking up a lot of my time. So, planning on getting some good pics tonight. I'll get them posted up just to kind of let you see where they're at. But they're doing good.
No, excellent. Right, so Mr. Richard.
Yeah, mine are looking good. They're probably at maybe the 50% stretch like Wigglers. Everything looks to be stacking good. Mine pretty much have a whole 4x8 filled up in my 8x8, so I mean they're all over the place huge, but I've been tying them down each branch, so those are growing. Doing a lot of training with them, so I mean they're like a jungle in there for sure. I think I counted something like 60 tops the other day that were just, mains, not little side ones or anything like that, so hopefully they yield quite a bit. And there definitely seems to be different looking structures, phenos, leaf thicknesses. Hopefully there's quite a few different phenos in there. Kind of hard to tell when they're not fully budded, but you can see some traits.
Yeah, no, excellent. I mean, it would be good to see what all the different traits are that's starting to come out, whether it is quite consistent. Now that everything's getting going.
I probably think out of the 3 females that I got 3 different females. I got a short bushy, I got a tall lanky, and then I got that mid screamer,
Yeah.
Mine are real short. And they're not stretching at all. They're little babies.
Yeah, I didn't get a whole lot of stretch. I think we got twinsies.
Right.
uh, not Eskimo brothers, Jamaican brothers.
Yeah, I guess I got to rethink my ratio. I think my stretch was about 50%. Because I legitimately think they're every bit of 6 foot tall right now if you straighten out all the bends. But I
Wow.
think when I put them into the flower, they were only about 3 foot tall, but with the bends, probably more like 4 foot. So I think they went from 4 to 6 foot. If I kind of, I think if I took like a piece of string and brought it up and then fished it around all the bends to see actually how long some of it is. But I've actually had to crack some of my stems pretty low down just to get them down into the scrog. So I think the one that I'm going to put up today, I'm going to put it up really high, and it's going to be more of just like an anchoring point for heavy buds up top. It won't really be to force them down too much.
Mm. And how many people are incorporating super cropping in what they're doing, or some LST?
Nothing. I'm letting them grow straight up as they are, in 5-gallon buckets, and let them do their thing.
Nice. Yeah, and that's what's be interesting to see at the end as well. Then compare results on those who did do the LST with those who haven't done it.
All the training I did was going to be in veg. I basically ain't doing nothing in flower. These guys, or the girls, are pretty short already. I'm not even putting a cage or anything on.
Yeah, because I see Mystic's using tomato cages.
Yeah, she's got tomato cages.
For her tomatoes. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
And,
Dab time in your face.
Oh, yeah, you caught me just in time. I was literally getting ready to hit the bender.
Well, we should
Right.
go through and everybody say what you're smoking on. I guess I'll start out since and that doesn't count, Peter. since I brought it up, I'll start out. I am smoking some Tom Sawyer Burger butter that I got somewhere. A dispensary somewhere unnamed.
I'm smoking some fresh version LA Chill DHO by Guwap Extract.
Guwap? This guy Italian?
Everybody asks me that. He's local here in Flint. I'm not willing to tell everybody what he's smoking. You can get his products in the dispensary.
It's a lot better if he is.
oh dear, oh dear. Yourself, Nancy?
I've got some orange AK ambrosia here and some jam band batter from a apothecary. It's real creamy.
Right on. I'm just smoking some bubble hash that I made maybe a month or two ago. Nothing too spectacular.
Nice. I hear it's good.
It is, it's good, but I like my flour. I'm not a big oil hash wax person, so.
Yeah.
I'm with you, man. I'm not huge on the dabs either, but with that damn bell going off all the time, I figured I'd get with the program. But
Yeah.
no, I'm a bubble hash guy. I love bubble hash. I mean, I smoke more bubble hash than I smoke.
We can call it hash time.
I mean, the main difference in the bubble hash and an extraction, either by pressure and heat or with solvents, is you're just getting rid of a lot of those lipids and fats and waxes that are in there that leave that residue in your bowl when you smoke good bubble hash. Even really clean stuff, you really leave a little residue because it's still got those plant fats in there.
I will say, if you smoke like just a rosin or my bubble hash, I should say dab. Now, if I dab rosin, I gotta use the filter. Now, if I use my bubble hash, I don't have to use nothing. There's nothing left. So, like, I think rosin's dirtier than most. But that's like the fats and lipids that you're talking about.
Yeah, but I think you get rid of those when you push rosin. I don't know. I'm not a big rosin guy. I know you can get rid of them with solvents.
I think it's a lot to do with temperature when you're swishing around, as far as whether you're getting the fats in a liquid form.
Yeah, definitely with that. It's a trick to the trade. For sure. What are we looking at? We got some charts, some graphs. Things are
Yeah,
going
well,
down.
this is what I was been playing around with. Playing around with. This is what we've been working on over at P&L Grow Systems is some environment forecasting. So now actually being able to predict where your environment will be up to 7 days ahead. I'm just doing it in two different ways at the moment, which is why there's two different styles of charts or two different charts. One is bottom one, basic. This is in inverted commas because it's not really that basic. But this just looks at historical data from your from the sensors itself, and just using that information then starts to try and predict what it's going to see in the future. And then the one above it is actually incorporating weather data, historical weather data, and weather forecast data to give a better prediction. And I was just experimenting to see if I picked a city that was a bit further away, how much of an impact, what sort of difference that would have in the prediction or the forecasting. I actually picked London, and it turns out that's a little too far away to make it accurate enough. I'm going to do another run next week where I pick a local town, where I'm going to use my exact longitude and latitude where I am, and then get the local weather forecast, the very local weather forecast, and see how much tighter I can get these bands. But I mean, it's not doing too badly, especially on the temperature front. It's actually pretty close. I mean, 3 degrees out or 1 degree out. It's coping pretty well. And then even on the humidity, I mean, it predicted 80 and it's gotten up to 85 because of some heavy rain that came through. But you can see it picks up on the little bumps. So now when you're working in, looking at your garden or looking at your environment, you can now actually see, is there anything that you're going to have to pay attention to in the next 7 days? Or are you looking at rolling this out as the basic one as a cheap subscription, and the advanced one as a slightly more expensive subscription? But I think I've rolled it out to most of you guys. It would be interesting to get some of your feedback on that, and whether or not you see it as being useful.
And when you told us that you rolled it out, I was the first one to look. I bet I didn't see anything to do with this. So you must not have rolled it out to my device.
All right, so well, I'll make sure it does get rolled out. and the way you find it now is
yeah, if you come to find it, I might see the charts.
See, now if you go to charts, you'll see forecast charts.
Yeah, I definitely didn't have that. I can look right now.
I saw mine today when I was looking. It's there. At least on mine.
I guess I might have it now, but I didn't have it then.
Right. It sounds like we're having some audio issues.
Well, we were saying pre-show, if you can't hear us, turn that shit up, man. No. Well, we got technical difficulties, folks. They stole Hangout servers, and we're working on it.
What can we do about this?
I do have the forecast posted.
Cool. And if people give me their location information, I can look at doing ones which take local weather data and use that.
Oh, I don't think so.
Or your nearest city. I mean, like nearest for a when you're looking at the local weather in the evening, what's the nearest big city nearby that it can then use as a reference point for understanding what the future is going to look like?
Well, is that going to be something that's going to be more beneficial for outdoor growers and or people that are doing a lot of air exchange with just fresh air outside?
No, it works very well for indoor growers, actually.
I think it's gonna, anywhere you have a grow room, unless it's in like a walk-in freezer, the environment's gonna be, it's going to change with outside environments. It's going to affect it some. Whether it affects it a lot, you know, or a little, that's going to be a different. But it will affect your grow room. So, I mean, if it's hot outside, it's warmer in your house, or your AC's got to run harder, or you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean that's been the main thing that I've noticed is that if it's really hot outside, then even with it being in a basement and having a lot of protection from like the thermal variance from outside, I still notice a difference. I mean, you just do. But I don't have to deal with the humidity as much, I don't think, and that could just be a factor of having an oversized dehumidifier space. So
Yeah, I mean, I've actually noticed that as soon as I do use much more localized weather data, that the prediction of an indoor, like a greenhouse, which is what I'm monitoring, you really do pick up on those fluctuations all of a sudden. So for outdoor growing in the greenhouse and even indoor, unless you were in a really, you know, deep within inside a building where none of the external ambient conditions are affecting anything within inside that building, it's amazing what it actually picks up on. Like just a general building warming up has an impact on that space, as subtle as it might be.
oh yeah, I mean, and that's what I'm saying is sometimes my AC has a hard time keeping up when it's really really hot outside, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that I use my entire house as a lung room for my grow room, and I pull pre-conditioned, cool dry air into my grow through a 4-inch HEPA filter that makes sure it stays nice and clean. And but it pulls a 6-inch fan pulls high speed 24/7, sucking cool air out of my house and into my grow. So that's what kind of keeps it very. I mean, it doesn't stay static in there. It definitely goes up and down with the lights, but I can kind of keep my atmosphere dialed in, so temperature and humidity, but it's at the expense of some air conditioning.
Yeah, and then of course then that comes it's at the expense of it. But the idea here, what we're trying to help out is, seeing where that environment's going. And the next thing I want to overlay into it is things such as what are known problematic conditions. So can it see that, well, you're heading towards, that's bad for powdery mildew or something else along those lines. Start to overlay some of that information into it. And then you can see if you are able to, if it's predicting that the environment's heading in the wrong direction, by overlaying with the actual data that it's also recording with what the prediction was, you can start to steer it away or towards the prediction, depending on what you're after. You can either make sure that you're keeping on track if it's trying to show that it's heading in the right direction, and if it is heading getting too cold, I need to go put some extra heating in, and you can see if the heating is having the effect because you can see it moving away from the forecast.
Yeah, I think for me with my setup, it would be beneficial the most in the shoulder seasons, where I'm getting weird, fluctuations where it might be 70 one day and then the next day it's down in the 40s and all sorts of weird stuff. And, so spring and fall when you can kind of get weird things happening, a lot harder to adjust for.
I mean, I had to pick up on we had a mini little heat wave over here, and the forecast showed that 2 days afterwards things were going to be drastically different. It's like, oh yeah, come on. And Truesbog, 2 days later, there was about a 10-degree drop in temperature.
So personally, that's more what I would be interested in, so I could have, the AC set up, plugged in, ready to run, because I'm not running ACs all the time. But when I know it's going to be hot, or that hot's coming, or that cool's coming, I'm going to be set up for that, so I can, then change that instead of just moving air. Because I move air, and when it's real hot outside, moving air consists of moving real hot air. So you don't want to do that. And for what you're saying, the forecasting, I could I mean, I already had an AC set up and ready to run. I could just have it on at that time so it does kick on when it gets too warm or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, at least you know when you need to incorporate some extra or turn stuff off maybe. Oh, hang on.
Yeah,
Put the rest
exactly.
in
Or
and
maybe
turn that shit
dial
off.
back the lights, dial back the lights from 100 to 75, the lower little temperatures. I've been well known to do that as well.
Hey, Mystic. Quietly crept in there.
Good to see you, Missy.
Hey everybody, hey, sorry I was late. I try to be quiet, creeping.
No, we know your stuff. Oh, and there's the familiar sound of the birds.
Oh yeah, I forgot to put in the cage. Dang it. Oh.
That's all good. So how are the bobsleds coming along?
Oh, they're doing fantastic. I just did a little grow update last night or this morning. I can't remember which one it was. And we're ranging in between 37 and 43 inches. And
We know your stuff.
they're really looking nice and stacked. Actually, they're looking really, really good. They look great.
No, yeah, must have, from the pictures that you were posting, I think everybody was saying they're looking really, really impressive. There's the familiar sound of the birds.
Yeah, the flowers, there's six. I don't know why it looks like I froze on that. I don't know. Anyhow, the flowers are really starting to stack on number 2, on my Jamaican Bobsled number 2. It looked like at first, when I first put it into flower, it looked like a stick. It didn't look like it really was going to do much of any producing. Now that's the tallest one, and it's got like a real nice color to it.
Nice, nice. And are people noticing any particular terpene profile starting to form?
I really can't put my finger on it, but it's like a real, like, it's almost like a danky, cheesy smell. It's not really cheese, but it's, I can't put my finger on what it is. But it's a freaking dank smell. And they're all pretty familiar. They're all pretty similar, I mean.
Yeah, they are all pretty similar. At least mine are. It's funky.
Yeah.
Like dank smell, like you said, for sure.
Yeah, it's not really a cheese smell, but it's almost like like what you'd expect. It's just like a dank, like.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Aroma.
It's a good smell.
Yeah, really good. How often do we say dank is good? But it really is.
It's the only thing where dank means good. Because any you use there's a dank smell in that room, everybody's like, I'm not going in there.
Well, in Canada, when you say it's the dank,
Yeah, exactly.
I was just getting ready to say, if you tell me it smells like dank over there, I'm going to find out who smoked it.
And that's how weed smokers die of black mold on the lung.
We want the dank.
As far as terpene profile, I'm still gonna say I got like it's very tropical smelling. I don't know what it is, but
That's Space Snoot, the Space Queen.
I don't know. It could be the Jamaican Hash Plant. He said that was a tropical pheno of what I believe Jamaican Hash Plant that he was using. So that
wow.
might be what I found or what I'm smelling, or that's all I smell anytime I mess with those plants is like tropical, fruity.
That's rad. I don't have any of that yet. I don't have any fruity smells in summer.
This is good. Sorry, Karen.
I was gonna say, I guess I need to go do some stem ropes. I really haven't been taking note yet. I just figure I'll get to that when the buds start forming.
To be honest, I haven't done any stem rubbing on them because they were so small. It's just from moving them around and doing this and doing that. They're kind of on the outside of one of my other canopies that was already, I'm harvesting the other canopy in 2 weeks. So, like I just set them on the outside of it. They're getting great lighting, some side lighting, some direct lighting. But like I have to move them all the time to get to the other plants. So I move them and I'm like, holy crap. It literally hits me with whatever tropical fruity aromas. I don't really know how to explain it. I don't get any kind of dank. It's tropical fruit.
I'll have to check mine out. Yeah, I don't move mine much. I try not to move them as much as possible. Um, I'm fairly certain that I've had some plants hermy on me just from moving them around, and especially in flowers, I don't think they like it. But sometimes I've just been forced to have to move things
Man,
because
if that was the case, I'd have to quit growing. I move plants every day. I mean, I drag them across the floor 4 or 5 feet. I move
yeah,
them all around and I put them back. You know what I mean? So I'm beating
yeah,
the
but
hell out of them plants.
Yeah, if that bitch
yeah.
Hermes, get her the fuck out. Kill it.
Straight up, that's how I feel about it.
No, but I think you have a different kind of pot than I do too.
But yeah, I'm not using like the air pots. I just use like my final pot's a 5 gallon bucket.
Yeah. See, I really like the radical bags because I get really good root development. But the thing that you have to understand is when you pick that plant up by that pot, it's like holding a sack of potatoes or something. If that root mass isn't solid, then you can really kind of jostle it around, and that's where I think I had the problem. So now I try to make sure on my repottings that I give it enough time to form just a solid block, and then you can actually strip the bag off of the plant, and the root mass is so solid and interwoven with the cocoa, it doesn't even need a pot anymore, and you can just set it out. Which I've done with the male plants because I just figured, if they died, they died. But I found out they grow just as good not in a pot after they've formed that shape than anything. So I don't know. I think that the smart pot makers might not sell as many pots if we all started figuring out we could just take them out and then get the next batch growing in them. But my experience has been it actually works out pretty good.
I think it'd be good to record if everybody did like a stem rub at different stages and recorded what they were smelling, and then we could compare that at the end as well to see do people wind up with similar terpene profile, and if so, where there were similarities and where there were differences. Can we track that back to, was it purely down to the genetics, or was it, where people are getting a similar terpene profile, were they doing similar actions?
I think that would be really hard to tell with growing, like seeds like we're growing. I mean, we'd have to get some pretty work genetics.
Well, I think it's also going to be highly subjective, and my question was going to be, are we still considering having samples sent out for testing at the end of this?
Yeah, I'm still trying to arrange that with the lab.
Okay. But I mean, if we did have a lab that could do the terpene profiles, then I think we could probably tell whether or not people had similar phenotypes just based on the results.
Yeah. But then also, the different phenotypic expression that you're producing, but terpene profile would be one of those. So it would be interesting to see what, could you steer it based on what you were doing with the environment and your fertigation program.
Well, since we started with seeds, I think something like that, I think that's what Dr. Wigler was saying, is to really dial in if it's a phenotypic expression just based on environment. We would need to start with clones so that we're all have the exact same thing, and then it'd be immediately obvious.
I mean, precisely, that's basically what I was saying. Or even just a more, just something that's been worked to, like, let's say F15 or something,
Oh yeah, something really stable, like Durban poison.
Precisely.
Well, again, you see, if these were true F1s, you would get that. They would all be the same. So that would be, therefore we should be able to then identify it that way.
Well, except for we've got some mutant plants.
Yeah, exactly, and hence.
I don't think that you could call them all the same by any stretch of the means.
And that is funny because one of my mutant plants is the tallest plant in my garden.
Yeah, my mutant.
That thing was like nothing for the first month of growing.
Yeah, as soon as my mutant tulip started growing balls, I had to get rid of them.
Yeah, no balls in the house.
No, not right now anyway.
Yeah. So, and the current feeding regime for everybody, that's kind of the same. Nobody's changing the up. I know Tenacity, yours is super soil and water.
Pretty much. Microbes, water.
I'm using the Jack 321.
3, 2, 1.
Hey, Johnny sent me a bag of recharge, which all the chilies in the greenhouse have certainly enjoyed. I will say that certainly boosted the other half of the raised beds in the greenhouse. They suddenly took off a few days later. That's definitely good stuff.
So now
Recharge.
you're to beat your wife too, huh?
Yeah. Like
You've
it's
seen
just
her
the sun.
side, you've seen your side. I got you.
Yeah, it's more than just the sun. It's
Just remember, it's her whole
huge amounts of nutrients that are being poured into that side of the greenhouse as well.
Score.
And they've got some. They're starting to come up nicely now. I'm looking forward to what I'm going to harvest out of there on a slightly different note.
Yeah, I totally geek out on gardens, man. Like, there's nothing better than harvesting and, you know, like say let's always harvest a tomato and we made a salad. We put that tomato on a salad. Now I've grown, harvested, cut up, prepared, and now I'm eating the food that I've grown. You know, there's nothing better than that.
Well,
I mean,
there's something slightly better, and that's I would grow chili peppers under my LEDs, except for that they would be taking up space for cannabis to be taken. So I would posit that the only thing that's better is you just grow more cannabis and then you buy produce.
that's where I disagree, man.
No, I know, but I'm pulling your leg, but I know you
I
have
got you.
to grow
I
outdoors.
agree.
Cheers,
Like,
everybody.
you know,
Cheers.
Yeah, the second I can grow outdoors, I'll be with you.
I don't grow any weed outdoors. Well, I mean, I got a plant or two out there, but I don't have like a big grow outside.
No, but I'm saying you have the space and whatnot to grow. I have like 50 chickens. So
Oh,
anything
they would
you
eat your
plant-
own.
yeah, if I don't put a 6-foot fence around it, it's just food for chickens. So
With the amount of deer around here, I'm thinking I'm gonna have to do an 8 or 10 foot fence around my garden, or just start shooting deer.
Hey, I'll come help you. I need the meat for my wolves, yeah?
Or do
I'm
both.
saying, man, like you come down, anything you shoot, we can clean, and you can take half it home, bro.
The trick is you put the 8-foot fence around the deer. It makes it a shitload easier to shoot them.
yeah. Well, and anybody that wants to come to visit me, as long as you have a crossbow, I'm sure we can nail one. The thing is, you gotta shoot clean. We don't need them running across the road now.
Yeah, I don't want none of that. I don't want none of that. It's gotta be a nice clean kill.
Good.
Tenderized by the 18-wheeler going down the highway. I mean, come on.
I've got like 20 acres of forest right behind me, and I own.
Oh, yeah.
I got about 3 acres that are my property, and there's tons of deer in there. But on the other side of my house, there's a pretty busy road. It's just a 2-lane road, but there's enough cars going down there. You wouldn't want to explain why there's a deer with an arrow sticking out of it that just got hit by a car. That would be a tough conversation to have,
Right?
especially if you don't have any deer tags.
Certainly there won't
Yeah,
be.
man.
Certainly there's
Well,
not.
that's an invitation, but I don't know how to shoot a crossbow.
It's like shooting a pistol, except for you kicks. Kicks a little
Point-
different.
Point the sharp end away from you.
Yeah.
I will say that's the cool thing about being a farmer. You know, the rancher clause says you can basically lay down any animal that is constructed with your animals. So if you have deer on the property and they're bothering your animals, you're allowed to kill them without any kind of tags or permitting.
See, my family needs food.
That's how we fill our freezer.
That's how I shoot all of the squirrels that I want and trap a few raccoon too. No, I
It's
lose.
just because of the chickens, yeah.
I lose so many chickens. I mean, it's unbelievable. And I raise rare breed chickens, so a coon can come in, kill 4 or 5 chickens, and that might be, anywhere from $200 to $500 that I lost.
Wow.
So,
That's on the low end, you know. If he was just raising eggs, he could get that in, 8, 10 months. Just and then what about the next year? You know what I mean? So
oh, I know, yeah, because I can sell some of the eggs that I sell as fertile eggs. I can get, $60 a dozen or so. So,
that's exactly what I'm saying.
So do you use any of the chicken shit in your grow at all?
I have not gotten to using it yet, but I've only been on this property for about 2 years. So I've been composting it, and it's
They
just
just want to
reaching,
compost
yeah, it's just reaching the stage that it's going to be good to use. It won't be too hot. It's nicely broken down.
it. Chicken shit's hot almost any time you use it. So if you don't compost it, you're burning plants.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. I've heard that you need to let it rust at least a year, but I just like to throw it in the compost, and then you can't put too much in there. If you're vermicomposting with worms, it'll heat it up. You can
Yeah.
only put in a little bit, but
That's what we refer to as hot. Yeah.
yeah, if you just have a regular compost pile of leaf, like brown leaf material, straw, wood chips, and then
It'll
you
probably
put
kick
that
that
in there,
going.
yeah, that'll kick it going. You can get it steaming in the winter. So I've actually used compost heaps inside big hoop houses for the chickens in the winter, where the compost heap actually warms the coop and keeps the
That's
chickens warm. And it's all, I mean, it's a process I would want to be happening anyway.
yeah, that's a clever way of doing it.
That's a really
Yeah.
cool idea.
We heat our greenhouses over on the farm with compost, almost the same way what you're talking about. We have a hole on one end and we fill it with compost, and then they heat, and that shit will stay warm all long. When I say warm, it's not. It never freezes.
Yeah, I'd be interested to do like a commercial operation where you um, bury a bunch of ductwork ahead of time, and then have it ducted into your greenhouse. And every year you just mound a huge compost pile on there that you turn regularly. I bet that if you blew some forced air through there, you could keep your greenhouse warm in the winter.
They do something similar to what you're talking about. I forget the name of the greenhouses, but they have like some kind of ducting. They use piping, but they like some kind of ducting into it, and then they basically have a heat sink where they put barrels of water into the ground, and then
Hmm.
they blow water or air over the barrels and then through the ducting into the greenhouse.
I saw a program where they did a really interesting one they did the same thing in the greenhouse, dug a deep trench, and then filled it with powdered glass. And actually, the machine that they used to make the powdered glass was the coolest thing. It was an ultrasound machine that you just put all the bottles in, hit the button, wait like a minute, open it up, and it's just turned to dust. And you just pick out all the labels and all the caps. And then they fill the trench with this powdered glass. It's also got PVC piping running through it that came back up into the greenhouse, and then they just fill the whole thing in, and the air circulation that goes through sort of keeps it warm, prevents it frosting in the middle of winter, and I think it's slightly cooler in the middle of summer. That was quite impressive to see. And this is what we're bringing out next. This and the CO2. Talking about the moisture sensor. So this is what we're looking at. One of these on the end of a pretty long lead, which each one will be wireless, so you can go and sync that into your grow medium. Being designed so you could actually put the whole thing, including the little blue bit, you could actually bury the whole bit into the grow medium, and then get moisture readings coming back from that.
Boom. That's pretty sweet.
And really early stages. The CO2 sensor, which may have people interested, so that'll be coming out soon as well. Hope to demo that at an up and coming event in the next couple of weeks.
Hey,
So you said you want to hook me up with a wholesale package?
Yeah. We could hook you up at a wholesale price, sure.
Well, you have to.
Twice retail.
These will all hook into the boxes we already have, or they'll be changing out.
Oh, these will be another module that you just install in the room. So you add it to your dashboard. It'll be another little device.
Gotcha. That's cool.
Yep. And what will happen with the way that the moisture sensors work, we're looking at doing them in a bundle. So you get, let's say, 10 moisture sensors in each pack. You don't have to connect each of the moisture sensors to your network. It'll come with a mesh gateway. And all you need to do is connect the gateway to your wireless network, and the moisture sensors will automatically connect to the gateway without you actually having to do anything.
Boom. Wizardry right there.
Yep.
And I think those moisture sensors for the soil, I think that's cool on a whole different level. Like for us worm farmers, man, I can imagine that a lot of people are going to want to be able to check that, from anywhere. Our worm farms aren't at our house. A lot of people got worm farms on, just sites, and then if they can check the moisture and the temperature of the area that it's in, just like this would do, that's pretty tip.
And then we're trying to think what else to include. I mean, the moisture sensors will just be the moisture ones. The CO2, we're trying to work out. I mean, it would be nice to do CO2 and something else. So we're just trying to work out what else we would potentially include with the CO2 one. If anything, it might just be CO2 by itself. We can try and keep the price down. We're looking at trying to do those around the $250 mark, I think, just because of the cost of the actual CO2 sensor.
I mean, the best thing to pair with the sensor, in my opinion, would be a controller. But I don't know, that's probably pricey. But that's going to be how people are going to want to use it, I'm guessing.
For the CO2, yeah, I mean, I think that's probably, they'll come next to a CO2 regulator. It's again one of those where I'm always a little nervous because you could fill a room with CO2 by mistake. And I don't really want somebody walking into that. But for being able to trend whether or not you need to think about supplementing it with CO2, at least having a relatively inexpensive sensor unit will allow you to make that decision whether you need to move ahead or not. Or is global warming working or climate change working fast enough for you?
Well, I do like the additional ppms. I mean, that's been working out in our favor. So.
The more ppm CO2 you can get, the better off your plants are going to be. That's what they eat.
It just dawned on me. People should be thanking me for growing cannabis. I'm just taking CO2 out of the air for everybody. I mean,
what the hell?
Legalize CO2 scrubbing.
I could be getting some kind of a government subsidy. Creating carbon credits.
If you're like an actual farm, you might actually be able to get some kind of subsidy.
But down in Oklahoma, apparently, Potaponic Steve, he's got an aquaponics set up down there. Oh, excuse me.
A beautiful one, might I add.
Well, they will not let them sell the fish because they're a cannabis outfit. Like he's going to be raising fish in the thousands of pounds that would be good, clean aquaponic fish, and he's having to do some deal where they give it to the state. I don't know. I think it's going to be feeding some schools or maybe prisons. Who knows? But it just seems ludicrous that they're banning them from being able to sell that meat.
So he can't make maybe a fish ferment or something out of it? Fish ferment's worth a lot of money.
Well, I don't know. Maybe I could bring that up to him, but I mean, they're going to be raising a lot of fish.
I understand how it works. Like they raise the fish, and then they gotta they take the big ones out, and then they let the little ones in, and then they have to treat the water for ammonias. And I can get it.
Yeah, I mean, so I don't know. Like I said, I think he's going to be raising literally thousands of pounds of fish every couple of months. And, anywhere else, like if he was growing hydroponic lettuce, he would probably make more money on the fish than the lettuce, and it would all be, able to be captured. So it's
Now
something.
the question is, are the fish tainted? Has he had the fish tested? See if they're tainted by the cannabis? Do they now have,
I don't.
G's in them?
Well, the thing is, I don't think that the water ever comes in contact
Well,
with.
come in contact with the root system somehow or another. Yeah.
Well, I think that the way that they do it is that there's a system that separates out the solids from the liquids, and then the part that can be used for fertilizer is pumped over to the plants, but the regular water that's been cleaned out is just returned to the fish.
Oh, so it's not a research. It doesn't feed the plants and then come back to the fish. Because what I understand, like they have
Yeah, maybe it does.
They
Maybe
have it set up in China that way, and that's basically like a big filter system. Feeding
right.
the plants going through that. It basically filters it, cleans it back out, and then just dump it back to the fish.
Yeah, I think they take the solids out, but yeah, I think you're right. It probably does recirculate back through. But still, so what's the deal? So water has come in contact with cannabis roots.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If he could
Come on, I mean,
what my point was, is he could prove that there's no toxicities levels in the fish and or cannabis levels, then he should be able to get past what he's doing if he's
you would think. I think it's just a matter of there's laws that need to catch up with the current business environment, to reflect what the needs of the society are. So, yeah, I would hazard to guess that his fish are going to be way cleaner than anything that you can pull out of most rivers in the U.S. just because of pollution. So, they have a closed system where they're checking their water quality, and that's of the utmost importance. So you're not going to have the kind of contaminants like you would get from, even from runoff or even rainwater can have things that it picks up from the atmosphere. So,
oh yeah, rainwater is dirty stuff. If you don't filter your rainwater, then you should probably think about doing that. Especially if you're drinking it, like a lot of people that got homesteads and they're drinking rainwater, they should filter that.
Yeah, in the UK, collecting rainwater into water butts off the roofs and that is pretty common. I use it for watering the garden and watering the greenhouse. Certainly keeps the water bill down.
I collect rainwater here too. I got a big rainwater system. It goes into an underground septic basically, and I collect it all and I filter it all, and then I put it in a septic, and then I gotta treat the water, if it stays in there too long, and then I refilter it, and then I use it.
Hey guys, sorry, I know I came in late, but I gotta go. I'm my mama's caregiver, and she's got someone here for her medical appointment, and I gotta take that. So. All right, see you guys next week.
All right, see you next week.
I think what we need to do for next week is do a giveaway.
Oh shit!
Cheers.
That's the word.
Giveaway. So everybody turns up next week.
Well, got about 40 seedlings I just popped, but I don't think they'll mail too good.
No. You don't want anybody getting into trouble. What we can do is give away at least one Minder unit next week. So everybody who's watching, join in next week. We'll be giving one away. We will formulate a challenging question over the week.
And are we eligible?
Of course not.
Look out of here, Spony.
I'm gonna take it. That's a no then. Well,
In the fine print somewhere.
All right. I can't ever win anything anyway, so it's fine.
No, not to worry. Hey, you won on this.
Ho! Alright, guys. Well, hope everybody has a good week.
Yep.
Still is here. Hey, buddy.
Richard, you're back with us. Champ.
Have a good one.
Rocking and a rolling.
Cool. Well, everybody, thanks for another great episode of the Operation Grow. And yeah, I think maybe during the week we discuss whether we move it to maybe a little later, although a little later becomes somewhat more inconvenient over here. Try and figure out what we can do to find a slightly better time slot.
Entrepreneurs never sleep, isn't that right?
Hell
That is
yeah.
right, yes, but I have a house with other people who do sleep. Okay.
He's got a wife that he's got to hear.
Yeah.
He would like to live with her this year, you know, instead of the couch.
Oh, very true. So yeah, alright everybody, see you all next week. Thanks for tuning in.
Cheers.
Ding, ding, ding.